because it gets very, very complicated. The limitations of the property rights, complexities of these new so-called improvements. It is a complete waste. Go through a slow-moving bureaucratic machine. Receiving the land as gifts has a host of different limitations. Why settle for less when you can have it all? Then you can actually bypass all of these complexities, quotas, percentages, and restrictions just by... So Vietnam just came out with the new real estate land law. The law is supposed to be less restrictive and create more opportunities for a broader audience to buy real estate in Vietnam, especially the Vietnamese Overseas community, also known as Viet Kius. But guess what? Instead of creating more opportunities, this new law actually puts the Viet Kius in the exact same situation that they were before. And on top of that, the law is so long and complicated, it makes War and Peace look like a short story. Why make it more simple when you can make it more complicated, right? The new law is supposed to take effect August 1st of this year, and it was meant to be a revolutionary step forward. Streamlined land use planning, transparent land allocation, and market-based land valuation. The goal was to simplify the process, reduce fraud, and create a fair real estate market. On paper, it seems like a dream come true, right? But here comes the kicker. This new land law comes with a mountain of bureaucracy and red tape. The ease and accessibility, that's a far cry from reality. Today, we're gonna decipher and go deep into this land law to help you better understand it and its impact on the Vietnam real estate market. So let's get started. So for those that may not know me, my name is Ken Duong, international and business immigration attorney with over 15 years of experience helping individuals in order to buy, invest, live, and work in Vietnam, especially in the real estate sector, whereby it's a great market to buy right now, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So the new land law was really rushed due to the collapse of the real estate market last year, and the goal was to be able to help the real estate market bounce back. One of the goals of the land law of 2024 was meant to attract for Vietnamese overseas to have a more streamlined and simpler process to buy real estate in Vietnam, which would increase the remittances of billions of dollars into the real estate market in Vietnam. That sounds promising, right? But hold on to your hats because it gets very, very complicated. According to the State Committee on Overseas Vietnamese Affairs, there are over 6 million Vietnamese living abroad in over 130 countries. Also, 650,000 Vietnamese guest workers in over 40 countries. Vietnam has been a top 10 country for remittances around the world and the top 3 in the Asia-Pacific region. Since 1993, when these statistics were taken, up until 2022, total remittances back into Vietnam were 190 billion US dollars, which is the total amount of FDI disbursement in the same period. In 2023 alone, the remittances back to Vietnam total $16 billion, which is an increase of 32% from the previous year. And of those $16 billion, roughly 25% of that goes into the real estate market. So that's actually a lot of billions of dollars from Viet Kius into the real estate market. Even in light of all this money coming into Vietnam, you would think that the Viet Kius would have a fair shake at the real estate game. But you'd have to think again. First of all, let's talk about the limitations of the property rights. If you think you can buy any property in Vietnam just because your grandma is Vietnamese, think again. There are limits to the ownership. Foreigners of Vietnamese descent are only permitted to buy land in designated projects and then be able to build a house upon it. So just close your eyes and imagine if you had the freedom to buy land anywhere you want, any part of the country, and own as much land as you want. No foreign quotas, no percentages. That would be full ownership rights. So now let's take a look at some of the restrictions for foreign ownership. Imagine if you go into a buffet and they tell you you can only eat a side salad. Foreigners can only own apartments, condos, or property attached to the land, but not the land themselves. And there are percentages and quotas. Foreign buyers of Vietnamese descent have a little bit more leeway and they can own land, but they are in designated areas and not in all residential areas. So there are many restrictions. In a nutshell, the local buyer can actually eat the entire pizza. The foreign buyer of Vietnamese descent can eat one slice, and the foreigner really only gets one piece of pepperoni. And speaking of limitations, let's get to the geographical limitation under this new law. You are still barred from owning land in strategic areas. You cannot buy in military zones or national borders. This may sound like a pretty good security measure, but local Vietnamese do not have these restrictions. So they can actually buy anywhere from the bustling cities of Ho Chi Minh all the way to the borders and also to Ha Long Bay. But that is not the only barrier. Let's talk about the temporary land use rights for Viet Kieus. Under the new land law, Viet Kieus are permitted to use the land for 50 years with one renewal period. But the renewal process comes with bureaucratic hurdles and many complexities as well. It's also not guaranteed. Now, if you think that's a headache, let's go into the administrative complexities of these new so-called improvements. So, before jumping into the administrative improvements, 80% of you watching this YouTube channel are not subscribed, which means only 20% of you are subscribed. So, it's like having a 50-year lease on a YouTube channel. It is a complete waste. So, smash that subscribe button because you don't want to let our content slip away like a temporary land use rights. Now, let's get back into the complexities of the new improvements to the land law. The new land law does not simplify or make it easier for administrative processing. Viet Kius who buy property and want to register the land use rights and the property ownership have extensive documentation and have to go through a slow-moving bureaucratic machine. Meanwhile, the Vietnamese have a much more streamlined process. They can buy, sell, and rent their properties and transfer very easily without jumping through all the hoops. So it's like running a marathon while everybody else is riding their bicycles and cruising along. But the limitations do not end there. Let's take a look at the inheritance and investment restrictions that are firmly in place. Even with the new land law, foreign buyers of Vietnamese descent have many limitations when investing into land and inheriting such land. Transferring land, inheriting land, or receiving the land as gifts has a host of different limitations. What about the financial side? Let's talk about the economic disadvantages that Viet Kius face. Financially, the Vietnamese overseas are at a disadvantage. There are higher taxes and land use fees associated with the overseas buyer, thus increasing the price of the property itself, while local Vietnamese will have a lower price, more tax incentives, and advantages when they buy the property. For non-Vietnamese buyers, it's like paying a premium for exactly the same product just because you are not a local. So what is the solution? The answer lies in getting the full Vietnamese citizenship. So if you are a foreign buyer of Vietnamese descent, then you can actually bypass all of these complexities, quotas, percentages, and restrictions just by getting your Vietnamese citizenship, which includes a passport and a national ID. Our team of legal experts have helped hundreds of people get the Vietnamese citizenship in order to overcome any of the restrictions on land use rights, transfers, and working in Vietnam. Vietnamese citizenship is not only about land use rights, but it comes with other advantages as well. As a Vietnamese citizen, you can fully integrate socially and economically into the fabric of Vietnam. This means that you can get social services and benefits, open up a local bank account, open up local companies, and fully enjoy all the benefits of the economic engine that is within Vietnam. You are not just an investor, but you are part of the Vietnamese community. But if you're still on the fence, here's one other amazing advantage of getting your Vietnamese citizenship. Obtaining Vietnamese citizenship will secure your legacy and your future generations' rights to the land itself. They can inherit and you can pass it on through a will in Vietnam. This way, the future generations or your children can use the land, can own the land, and pass it on to their children. This is a great way to protect your assets, and it's a long-term investment into your family's future. So, if you have Vietnamese roots, don't be bogged down by the limitations and restrictions of the new land law. Go for the full package, get full Vietnamese citizenship, including the national ID, so that you have no restrictions, you can fully pass it on. Our team of legal experts in the US and Vietnam are here to help you get your full package of Vietnamese national citizenship. In conclusion, the new land law provides some improvements. However, it still doesn't provide Viet Kius with the same benefits as Vietnamese citizens. The complexities and restrictions make the clear path moving forward is to get your Vietnamese citizenship. So why settle for less when you can have it all? With that said, thank you very much for watching this video, but make sure you like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel and all our social media, and of course, comment below if you're looking to get citizenship or buying properties in Vietnam. And of course, click on the bell for notification. So on behalf of Duong Global, my name is Ken Duong. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.